I believe we are recording. Can you see if the image is moving at all? Do you blur when you move? You do slightly, but that's fine because this is mostly a audio recording. Hello, welcome to This Is How We're Speaking for the next 45 minutes.
Is it? Oh.
Go on.
Yeah, yes. I don't want to.
Oh, that is a shame. We should speak like this forever.
It's hurting my brain.
No, it did when you watched the show, but we'll get to that in a minute. Hello, welcome back to Doctor Review. I'm husband.
Whoa.
You're a karate action figure wife, apparently.
Wife.
And we are
I'm his wife.
chatting nonsense, and I'm his husband. We're chatting nonsense about...
Dr. Whame.
Can you remember which series we're up to?
4.
But what video is this?
5.
For those who may have missed it, if you're watching these through search alone, we did a video before this one about the Peter Cushing movies and an adventure in space and time. Can't do this for much longer. This is the last video we get to do this now.
I'm just holding on.
Aww. To Billy. Little Billy. Welcome. This is, for those who've not seen any of these before, basically, I'm Chris, this is Lucy. What we do is we've decided to marathon.
I've got no spatial awareness at all. Hello.
Lucy decided that our next marathon, box set marathon, should be Doctor Who, starting from the very beginning. We've stuck to the formula so far of watching everything released by 2 Entertain and BBC on DVD and Blu-ray later on. We are not reading the Target novelizations. We are not listening to the audio reconstructions because just the way life is for the two of us, it'd be hard to keep track of all that if we were both doing it. So, you know, if you've got a busy evening and you're suddenly like, oh, well, we should probably read The Smugglers, then Lord knows when both of us, let alone one of us, would finish that.
We don't have a big fireplace and a maid to bring us tea as we sit in the sitting room and read.
Like some tea, sir! You're just thinking of that lady from Evil and the Daleks, are you? Checking in on sleeping Jamie, just having a little peek. Just having a little peek under his blanket.
I would say what I said as we watched it, but I won't.
You may. Later.
Well, I can't remember what it was, so never mind.
So yeah. Well, that's why another thing that's interesting about this. So yeah, we only watch the episodes as are, and the ones that are available on 2 Entertain. So recons like Galaxy 4 and Marco Polo that are available on the DVDs, and of course the Lost in Time box set. This thing's a godsend. This was like the 6th or 7th Doctor Who DVD I bought. Which was a weird choice for 6th or 7th because it was like, wow, I can't watch a single complete story.
That's so random. Why did you buy it?
But it's because I wanted a bulk of the 60s. Like, I wanted more of Hartnell and Troughton, and I figured, well, 13 quid at the time for that, I get a load of random bits and pieces, and I get to learn about these stories that are lost. But some of them, 2 of them specifically, we have now, well, 3 of them we have watched in this season, which, when that came out, there was no cat in hell's chance of that happening. No cat in hell's chance. There was a cat in hell's chance of that happening.
I've never heard that saying, so you could have just left that and I'd have thought...
My mum used to say it all the time. You wouldn't stand a cat in hell's chance.
Why is a cat in hell?
How would a cat survive in hell? Trick question. Already dead if it's in hell.
Exactly.
Unless the cat is Jonesy and the movie is Alien and the hell is metaphorical.
Oh, does it survive, that cat?
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
you
see it. You see it briefly at the start of Aliens. It's returned to her, but you see it in I think it's in the dream she has. So I think it implies that it's survived. I can't remember. But we're talking about Alien. We're talking about The Smugglers, which we didn't see because no episodes survived The Smugglers. We watched. No, not The Smugglers. It wasn't The Smugglers. I was going to say we watched clips. We didn't. We've not seen any of The Smugglers. There are clips on here, but we didn't divulge. The Smugglers is the first episode of Series 4, first story of Series 4, featuring the First Doctor, Ben and Polly. And, got no chuffing claw. What happened, didn't really? We read up on it. Cornwall, pirates.
That was a long time ago, though.
Pirates in Cornwall was in the past.
No.
Pity, smack. But again, historicals. Like, you bloody love them.
Love them.
And I bloody love them. And since we started this journey, Series 11 of the Modern Run Doctor Who started. As we record this, it's in the middle of Series 11. It'll be long finished by the time this is online. And there's been a couple of historicals in that, hasn't there? Rosa and Demons of the Punjab.
Yeah,
and there's an upcoming one with Witchfinders and Alan Cummings in it.
Ooh,
yeah,
that sounds interesting.
And the modern one always has the alien influence and stuff, but at least with Rosa, that was kind of minimalised because it was a humanoid villain.
I do apologise if I'm mumbly. It's like 10:10.
I love how you checked on there, and there's a clock right in your eye line.
That is far away.
Like the Smugglers, because we'll never see it. But I bet you probably would have loved that one. A bit of piracy and Cornwall. We love a bit of Cornwall.
Who doesn't love a bit of Cornwall?
That was the whitest thing we've ever said. Sat
Excuse
here
me.
drinking tea from our Muppets and Moomin cups whilst wearing gingerbread dressing gowns.
We
love a bit of Cornwall.
That's what I was apologising for. We're actually in our pyjamas, and I've just had a nap.
That's not a commentary on Series 4.
No, it's nothing to do. I just had a long day.
The first full story we got to see, we actually watched. We already mentioned it in the previous video. If you watched the Cushing video, we watched this story
ages ago.
Yeah, it's. We're recording this mid-November. We watched this mid-September.
God, yeah, we did.
Yeah, because we had some in the middle, some wedding and honeymoon or something like that. But so this next story is Hartnell's last. Ooh. It's the 10th Planet. Featuring the first Doctor's final regular appearance in the show. This is his last story as the title Doctor, the main Doctor, and also the first appearance of the Cybermen who speak like this through their little balaclavas and torches and toasters for bellies. You loved that. The moment they started talking. This is exactly what happened. So the Cybermen come out, and you first see them like on the surface of. It's on.
What do they look like? I've forgotten.
Where the hell are they in the Arctic?
Where do they look like? Oh, I can see.
They look like this little fella with his face and his hands. And they step like the first time you see them, you were like, whoa, because you'd already seen what the old ones looked like in the originals.
Yeah, I love.
I mean, you hadn't watched series 10 in the modern series, so you didn't really see that story. Where they look pretty great actually. These ones come back. And they look pretty great.
Oh,
although they've got rubber hands, which I think was done to cover up the identity of one of them in particular, because a certain character is transformed who is not clearly a 30-something white male, and they didn't want to give it away, so they've all got the same hands.
I did watch that.
You must have seen some of that one then. But
who is it?
It's spoiler alert for a series 30 odd seasons on from where we're up to. It's Bill.
Oh, no, I didn't watch that.
She gets converted in the twist at the end of the one of the twists at the end of part 1. It's a pretty good story, that one, actually. One of the twists at the end of part 1 is that the Doctor's asking it, where is Bill Potts? And it's like, Bill Potts. It's processing. It goes, I'm Bill Potts. And it's just like, oh, is this what we're doing? We're killing the companion in part 1 of 2. Okay. And then episode 2 tells it really, really, a really cool visual way of telling them what happens next. Because she's not quite fully converted in here yet,
right?
So whenever Pearl Mackie has dialogue, and for the majority of the episode, we the viewers see Pearl Mackie,
right,
and see her acting how she would act and everything. And every now and again, it shows you what the other characters
like they did with Clara in the Dalek.
Well, that was different because we were led to believe that's what she looked like, and really that was all in her head. Whereas in this, it was a visual technique to be like, "Hey viewer, this is Bill." But this is whatever. Like she's locked in the barn, and the kids won't go in because they're terrified of the thing in the barn.
Anyway,
even though it just looks like a girl in a barn, it's like why? But it's because she doesn't look like a girl in a barn. She looks like these little arseholes.
I love you so much.
I get where you're going. I get where you're going. You stopped listening to me years ago. So they first rocked up, and you were like, "Oh god, that's really freaky."
Because they do look scary.
Yeah, and then it spoke, and this is hi for those who are watching, like paying attention. Lou went like this, so the screen's over there. She was like this. And then it starts speaking, she went...
Did I?
You're like, what? I was like, yep, that's what they sound like. Because you were expecting a robotic voice. You've seen some classic Cybermen.
Yeah.
So I guess you were expecting a more robotic voice. And instead you got this one where they sound like this. Please, would you pass the scones? I have too much jam on my plate to go to waste.
Why did you bring up scones? Now I want a scone.
What do you remember from 2 months ago of the 10th planet? Can you remember what the 10th planet was?
What, its name?
Yeah, well, not. I mean, you might remember that.
No,
but, can you remember what the 10th planet is in reference to?
No.
Clues in the name.
A planet.
It's another planet.
Oh, is that really what... I thought you were asking a more...
Did you wonder why it was called the 10th planet?
No, I thought you were asking what
the Cybermen come from...
Oh, never mind.
The Cybermen come from Mondas. Which is, for all intents and purposes, Earth's twin. Like, it is...
I remember.
It's a planet just out of our solar system.
The series is full of me just going, oh, yeah, I remember.
Oh, God. But it has, like, our atmosphere, and the people are very similar to us, except they start getting unwell. So they begin to augment. And physically change themselves to get better, and then they keep doing it, and now they are just a bunch of barely human components inside metallic cloth with like shit attached to them, and it's very heavily implied in this story and one of the others we watched that the chest unit is filling in for their organs.
Hey, but at least they don't get sick.
Yeah, but they crumble into dust when they're beaten.
They do, and they have human hands, and then they disappear.
Now, 10th Planet exists now mostly intact. Episodes 1, 2 and 3 were live action. It's on an Arctic base, can you remember? Because they get there and they get pulled into it, and the Dr. Ben and Polly are sort of blamed for stuff. And then it becomes like the world held hostage. This is the first story where like you see other parts of the world reacting to it. Like the War Machines were sort of like that. But in this one, you've got like, you know, people, like newscasters, and you've got people speaking to like military and government bodies elsewhere to confirm what decisions to make. And
that was quite cool.
What I really like about the 10th Planet, amongst many things, is well, aside from the fact we got to watch episode 4 in animated form, so we at least got to see episode 4. But the fact that they start to sow the seed very early that the Doctor's not well. There's a couple times in the story where he has to like
sleeping.
take a back seat and it's like, oh, is he all right? Because he doesn't, in sort of modern TV tradition, they'd set up his demise, but in this that's not the case, is it? You can tell he's deteriorating, and then at the end of the story he's worn out, he's knackered after he's briefly like held in their thing and stuff, and he gets woken up. He feels like he's going to go, and then he's like, oh, it's just far from over, and he drags himself to the TARDIS, and he sets it off, and luckily Ben and Polly have made it in, and then he collapses. And the next story begins. But I like the fact they set it up early, and yet during that, they still give him a few moments where he stands up. So there's that one bit in particular where he stands up to them. He's just been quite sort of harsh with them. Yeah. The bit where he's like, have you no emotions, sir? And he's just like proper having a go at them. And you're like, ooh, alright, still some fire in his belly. I really liked 10th Planet. I enjoyed it. It was nice and tense. It was nice and short and compact as well. Like it's the start of a trend you're going to see more of in the Pat era. You've probably figured it out from a couple we've watched of base under siege plot structures. The idea of an environment that is being either attacked, infiltrated, or changed from within by something. What did you think of the 10th Planet? From what you can recall, many moons later. We did touch on our thoughts on it in the last video as well, if you want to see more in depth.
Oh, sorry.
Beliefs.
Oh, I do apologise. I liked it. I liked how they all worked together to defeat the not Daleks. What is wrong with me? I need to go to bed.
It's because there's a Dalek DVD here confusing
I'm
you.
sorry. I looked at a Dalek as I said it. To defeat the Cybermen, like they used its own weapon against it, which was pretty much just like a spotlight.
Yeah, well, it's creepy, that whole crackle sound, and the people just kind of, there's the flash, and then they collapse to the ground, and are definitely dead.
Its voice was a very strange choice. I wonder what that meeting was like. I wonder what, this is going to be a really scary robot, it's going to take over this base and stuff. What's it going to sound like? It's got to be terrifying.
Shall we speak like this for some reason? We have not figured out the end of our sentence, but we are too drunk to stop.
I kind of like it though.
It's weirdly entertaining.
Yeah. I don't like it in the way it should have been liked. Yeah. But I do enjoy it. But I enjoy you saying it. I think you do a really good impression.
Thanks.
I think they look.
You get to enjoy it one more time in the modern season 9. Modern season 10. You get to enjoy it one more time. No, but I mean that voice. Nick Briggs does a pretty decent interpretation of it in that
Nicholas Briggs.
Nicholas Briggs.
I think the costume of the Cyberman was fab. Very ingenious for the time.
you remember the American general whose son is on one of the missions launched up and is on the satellites, and he gets really ruthless, and he was a great character actually because
there was some really good characters in that. Is that it there? Can you see the back of it? Yeah.
The Tempoyer Planoyet.
And I liked Ben and I liked Polly.
I remember us going like, oh, his American accent's good because the ones we've had haven't been great, including bless him Peter Purves as the American guy before he was then Stephen at the end of that story. Do you remember the American guy at the Empire State? And we looked it up, and this guy I think was Canadian or something.
Something like that, yeah.
And he was like, oh right, well that's why the accent's pretty solid then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, now, how do you feel watching this? Having watched An Adventure in Space and Time shortly afterwards.
More emotionally attached.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
And confused that I didn't see Reece Shearsmith's face at the end.
Well, that would have been extra confusing, I think, rather than what actually did happen. You bloody weirdo with your little weird dreams. But I really like this. And how do you feel about the end of the Doctor? Like, is it... Because he's very defiant.
I do feel a bit like...
He's like, oh no, I'm just not finished yet. But then we realise it's because what he means is I'm going to prolong this. Like, I'm going to make sure that I survive.
I did feel a bit like it kind of happened in this story and then... Like, it wasn't really referenced beforehand, so it happened quite quick. I might be completely wrong there. But...
No, that's true. The only suggestion that something's wrong is that he seems to be unwell for most of the story.
Yeah.
And the only explanation we get is that he's wearing a bit thin.
Yeah, I just think it's a bit thin. Unexplained.
Well, I think it was. We can't obviously talk from like the proper perspective because we didn't watch this go out in '66. But like, I imagine that it would have been a fantastic way to remind you that he's not human. And it also because if there aren't cliffhangers, from the end of a story leading into the next, there's always cliffhangers within a story. So I think that'd just be another one. Like, it just fits that pattern of, oh my god, what's happening? I really like it because it comes the hell out of nowhere.
It does.
And it's surprising, and I think it needed to do that because of course this was the first regeneration. This was the first time they did it, and it was a big decision, and they decided to drop Bill from the show like for the sake of his health.
Yeah.
But they wanted to carry it on because it was popular as heck. So the public are going to be very dismissive of that in a way. The same way people are when they're like, oh, it's a different cast. Oh, no, I don't want to watch that. I mean, like True Detective.
Like me, every time.
Well, the closest thing I can think of as a gamble really is True Detective, in terms of a modern example. True Detective changes its cast every season.
Oh.
Yeah. But the hook for that, much like the hook for this in a way, for those who were watching TV around that time and knew who Pat Troughton was, the hook is that it's like, if it's not, this actor wants it, like not Matthew McConaughey one series, it's another like big name the next series, so it's like, okay, let's see what they bring to it, as is the case here. So what's it like to say bye to the first Doctor?
Sad. I wish I'd seen it.
Well, like proper, because we watched sort of like the stills.
Yeah,
recon,
because with those episodes, all of them, not just this one, it feels a bit disconnected because you can't see it as it's meant to be, so you can't fully appreciate it. I don't think.
Appreciate it.
No, you know what I mean.
I'm quoting a story later on.
And you can't. I don't know.
Key to Time coming soon to our show in about a year and 2 months.
I don't know. I just don't feel as. Are you quite finished?
Yes, carry on. I was just mugging.
I forgot what I was saying though.
You're saying you feel disconnected because of the presentation change and the fact that there's episodes missing.
Yeah.
And the fact that a couple times already you've got used to some characters and then not been able to see them leave.
Yeah.
Like Stephen
and
Vicky. And we're going to get to that again in a minute. The 10th Planet. Goodbye, Bill. You're not in the thumbnail for this one, Bill, because it's Pat's season overall, so goodbye.
Also, the fact that it's not at the beginning or the end of it's not at the end of a series feels a bit strange that he's regenerated.
Well, it's not the only time. It's not the only time it happens.
Strange.
Well, it's only strange because we're used to it being like an actor gets to say farewell at the end of a series by having like one big hurrah.
Yeah.
Or in the case of Sylve returning to do it, or in the case of Colin, refusing to come back to do it because of bad blood. But Colin, like the Fifth Doctor regenerates into the Sixth in the second to last story of that season. One of the best last stories for a Doctor ever, and then one of the worst first stories for a Doctor ever immediately follows it, and that's the end of the series. But also, back then, the series finale wasn't a series finale because the show was on for like 10 months of the year.
Yeah.
And then it took a break because everyone weren't making it. Took a break, and then it came back. So, and boy did it come back with Power of the Daleks. Immediately after the 10th planet, we didn't get to see this obviously as it's meant to be shown because none of the episodes exist visually anymore. There's bits and pieces of footage. So it's the animated reconstruction. First off, I like the animation in this one. I think the animation can be a bit touch and go based on what company and what technique they use. But I quite enjoyed it in this. I thought it was alright. You were not as big on this one, were you?
I was not a fan. No. Again, I feel very disconnected from animated.
Cartoon pat.
These cartoonists.
These goddamn cartoonists. You know a cartoonist. Still your vicious spouting.
I apologise, cartoonists. I don't know.
You're too tired to remember which of our friends is an animator.
No, I know.
Do you?
Yeah.
You having a moment?
Yeah.
She's knackered, bless.
I am. I do apologise.
She is tired. Perhaps she should be converted.
He's dragged me into his office to film this.
And then I'm leaving you.
Here against me.
I'm leaving you here overnight.
No, I'm joking.
This was creepy as sin.
I was just gonna say that I just don't think it flowed very well, the animation, enough to like have my attention the whole time. It was a really interesting story, but I just didn't like the look of it. I mean, that's probably just a personal thing, but...
Random question.
Yeah.
What about when it was just the Dalek scenes, like them inside their ship and stuff?
Yeah, because they're not a human.
They're not a flash
form.
animation face. Okay.
But you don't look at their face to see emotion. Whereas, I mean, Ben's face, good God, it would just look grotesque.
I think part of that is just the fact that they pick a still to represent this side of their face, and they pick a still to represent that side of their face.
And the profile
and there's
faces.
occasional variation, but not a lot. And then they animate it. I think it was done much worse in the 10th Planet, the 4th episode of the 10th Planet, and even worse, I think, was the Reign of Terror, season 1. The couple of episodes of that were animated. That looked bad. But this style is a bit more consistent with the other styles that they've done when they do fill in. And then the Infinite Quest, the 10th Doctor and Martha animated serial is done in that style. So it's like, oh, cool. So if you're going to animate Doctor Who, you do it like this. Fine, fair enough. And then they did Dreamland and broke that tradition.
I am just not a fan, personally.
Oh, balloon!
However...
I'm trying to perk you up.
The story itself was very good.
Like Human Coffee. It was really good. It's creepy. Like a creepy story, because it's the first story that lets you, the viewer, in on the plot before the characters in it, because you know the Daleks. So you see them and you're instantly like, these aren't just some hollow things that this place has found and started tinkering with. Like there's something in there. They don't realise it yet, and it's waiting. That was creepy, and the one that's not in its casing. And it scuttles through that door, Just the sight of two of them sat there in cobwebs as well.
We didn't see that in the show. It was animated, obviously. But then we watched, was it the documentary? And you actually did see it.
I think that shot was in the documentary,
trailer,
right? Yeah,
or something,
No, we saw a trailer as well, but that shot was in the you're right, the documentary.
And it looked much creepier.
Yeah, but it is proper eerie. I mean, just the sight of them in cobwebs, left alone, and also the fact that several of them spend a lot of the story with the gun arm removed is such a weird visual, because you're like, if that thing had its gun, it would be killing everyone right now.
Yeah, and you can tell that it really wants to.
When they're faking, that's so good, because again, it doesn't sound like they're doing it through gritted teeth. It sounds like it's a struggle to say, "I am your servant." Like, it sounds like they're struggling to say it. I did. It's I've got it in my vocal cord.
You want to do it so bad.
I am your servant. I will fetch you a bicky.
A bicky.
A bicky. It sounds like they struggle to say these things because it's so against their nature. Yeah. And then when you cut to the scene in, was it episode 3 or what have you, when the guy gets into the ship and sees them reproducing, like they're creating new Dalek
that was
mutants,
really creepy.
And there's a line of the casings being made. It was a great reminder that they're not robots. You know, they are creatures that pilot tanks. And it was also a really good scene. And we learned afterwards, because we saw the actual video of it. We learned afterwards that it was toys for the production line. They took the toys that were available and repainted them and touched them up.
That's a good idea.
It looks good.
Idea, yeah.
They do that in other places as well. There's a shot in one of the Matt Smith stories where people think they might have done that as well.
Well, they either cardboard cutouts or toys, aren't they?
Now that was great, because do you remember we watched the animation and there's ones in the back that aren't moving for a couple of shots, and we were like, bet they're cardboard in the actual one.
But they
were when we watched the footage. It was like, oh, they are, but it looks good.
If you weren't so creepy as us and watching in the background with constant errors, keeping them on your errors, you probably wouldn't not realise.
Oh, so, and again, watching it on a TV only slightly bigger than this DVD case. Bye, mate.
Oh no!
That would be
Cyberman.
He's proper gone away, hasn't he?
Oh, he's not happy.
Oh no, Mr. Cyberman.
His creepy claw hand.
No, we'll get to him in a minute. But watching it on a TV no bigger than a DVD case, like, you wouldn't notice that stuff at all. So the fact that we could see on a 50-inch telly, I think, is just us being mean and picky.
I think kids watching that are like following the series would have really. I think that was a really good one for kids, getting really involved. Like, knowing what the Daleks are. I'd have liked to have seen that.
And also, only one character was fully aware of what they were like as well, and it was sort of the thing that motivated him in the story, because he was just like, I've got to find out what's happening here. Which was the Doctor, which was the debut of little Paddy T.
Oh,
little Paddy T.
Paddy Troughton.
Patrick Troughton.
That's another reason that I'm sad that it was animated, because we've seen, what was the episode with Simon?
Oh, which Patrick Troughton have you watched?
Yeah.
You've seen the Three Doctors at some point, but Tomb of the Cybermen is the one you've already seen. Yeah.
See, that's how much I like it, because I don't ever remember the name of things, and I remember the name of that.
I should remember my name.
What? It's because I do. Eleanor Rigby. I don't know why I pulled that out of my head.
Probably because of Troughton's Beatlesque haircut.
Oh yeah, that'll be it.
Bring it back around.
His reactions to people, obviously, he's so different from Billy, and it's so interesting, and it's so sad that you can't see it. I mean, his behaviour in this is great. He's looking for a reaction out of somebody, isn't he?
Yes.
And he just goes straight up to them, like.
While he's talking to someone over there.
Yeah, and he's just staring at him. And he's obviously so much shorter. That visual is just hilarious. And obviously with the recorder.
Yeah. Then they leave the room and Ben's like, what's wrong with you? You're just staring at him. You're supposed to be talking to him. He's like, I was watching his reaction.
So he was doing
to the words being said.
He was doing a very doctory thing, but in a hilarious way. And
because, of course, he's not quite set yet. He doesn't even refer to himself as the Doctor in this story, does he? He keeps saying yes. He keeps referring to the real Doctor, because my favourite thing about this one was Ben's reaction. Ben spent the majority of this story basically just going, "Oh bloody hell's going on here?
What's happening?
Who are you?
Oh,
where are we? Our Doctor is dead.
Polly?
Where's the Doctor? Polly, why are you not freaking out? Why am I the one freaking out? Did I eat the special brownies?" The ones the Doctor keeps in that round over there, next to some brandy, which he never drinks, but apparently will in 50 years' time.
Okay. But also,
no, I never touch the stuff. That's Moffat's writing.
I'm really disappointed that we didn't see all the recorder bits, because it was so out of place, and it just seemed so funny
until he used it for a practical reason when he was trying to find the note. Which
was also hilarious, and it makes me sad that we won't see that.
And he couldn't do it with the reed, so he just got a glass of water and started trying to tune to the note of the lock.
For his first episode, I think it was. Sorry, for his first story, I think that was fantastic.
Yeah.
He's so different, but it's not bad.
Yeah, like it works really well, and there is some of that. There is a trend that carries on after this established here, which is sort of that post-regeneration mania. Like he's not quite right. It's not regeneration. It's I'm renewed. That's right, renewed.
Well, it's the same.
I love how the ring is on his finger, and it's too big now.
Yeah,
and it falls off and takes it off. Yeah. And yet his clothes regenerated.
Funny that.
It's the only Doctor whose clothes regenerate as well. Because he appears in that outfit.
How peculiar.
Yeah. Well, it's because they were making up the rules there. And then obviously later on they decided to not do that because someone must have had that idea of wouldn't it be charming to see the Doctor figure out their next look. You know what I mean? And start the long tradition of he mostly just nicks them from lockers.
Yeah.
It happens at least 3 times. Yeah, Third Doctor, 8th Doctor and 11th Doctor just nick their clothes from lockers. All of them in hospitals. Well, that's weird.
Interesting.
Well, they are doctors. I really enjoyed Power of the Daleks. This was my first time watching this recon, and I loved it. Again, I thought it was proper eerie.
I am, as you will have heard in the previous videos if you've been watching, I am a little bit sick of the Daleks. But I really enjoyed them in this one.
Yeah. Not written by Terry Nation. Maybe that was why.
Oh, I'm not going to say anything.
There wasn't a random radioactive jungle or any scenes where the Daleks had prolonged conversations with each other.
Oh, there was one bit where a Dalek was coming down a slope. And that was really fun.
Which in the there's a couple of times, isn't there? And it goes down the ramp of the ship. And obviously in real life, like the prop would be a bit heavy, so it'd go vdum, and then it'd keep moving. And they didn't have to keep that in. But they did. They animated going ka-dunk.
But obviously, being mature adults,
we didn't
every time we saw it, we'd go, wee! Every time. And it was, you know, it was fun.
Now, our next story is the Highlanders, which we didn't get to watch! No. But Scotsmen and blades and executions and fighting and grr and R and the introduction of Jamie and all these things we don't get to witness. We obviously, what we do along to fill the gaps, we read a synopsis of the story so that we at least get an idea of what's happened to the characters before the next one begins. But it really is a shame that this one doesn't exist because, again, another historical
and another companion where we don't see
how they arrive,
who you are. If we went into this without any reading at all, we'd be going, I have no idea. We probably would have stopped.
That's what it was like for me in the early 2000s, starting to collect the DVDs, because I'd just buy whichever one I fancied. Like, oh, I'd like to watch that one. Oh, that looks good. And I'd go in knowing, oh, here's a Doctor I've not seen much of, or oh, here's a Doctor I've never seen before. But then the companions are in it, and I'm like, who the hell are they?
Who's this?
Who is this? I don't understand. And
you weren't in the last one.
You weren't here. Where's Graham and Ryan and Yaz?
Oh, Graham.
Little Graham.
One of the best things about the modern series.
I think the whole series doesn't come out by the time we're recording this. I'd argue so far he's the best thing about it. And that's not a slight to anyone else. I just think his performance and characterisation has consistently been the most enjoyable thing in the show.
I'm very much enjoying Jodie, though.
She's bloody lovely, isn't she?
She is great. Her facial expressions.
She's got a lot of good sort of faces. Like, like sort of protruding lip expressions. Great.
She's great.
But so is Jamie. And it sucks that we don't get to see his introduction into the show. But we did get to see the follow-up. I think this was, I believe, Power of the Daleks, I think, was the last one released in terms of new DVD releases of the stories. So not counting the Blu-ray box sets that have come out so far. Before that, the last one was the Underwater Menace. Look at those scary-looking fish people, folks. What's this going to be about? Well, they're going to be in it for about 3 minutes, and there's going to be a prolonged swimming sequence.
Prolonged swimming sequence.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, though.
I do, and that just sounds hilarious.
The bloody wire work. They were so proud of those wires that they were like, "We've got." It was like the Monoptera all over again. It's like, we've got the harnesses out. We are showing this off. Get them in the harnesses and have them swim. I mean, the set was brilliant, but it was after like 2 minutes. Why are we just watching them swim? What's going on?
Which puppet show was it with Marina?
Stingray.
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 I love that show.
No,
so much so I couldn't remember the name. Shut up, I'm tired. That bit just reminded me of just the sequences they'd have of Marina just swimming.
Yeah, that's we just like, you're just showing off that you can do this.
Exactly, that's just...
It's not giving us anything.
No, they are scary looking. Like, nightmare-inducing scary looking. They are horrific.
Do you remember the behind-the-scenes featurette where they've got someone dressed as one scaling the rocks around the shooting location. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. But then they just keep showing shots of them like crouched on rocks, and you're like, that's a person in a morph suit.
I'm really proud of that.
Yeah.
But
the Underwater Menace. What happened in the Underwater Menace?
Have they not made figures of these?
No.
Good.
They've not made figures of many of the classic monsters, but I doubt they would start with the fish people.
Because that's just horrifying.
What do you remember happening? What was this about?
They arrived on a beach in Cornwall again. Was it Cornwall?
I think it was Cornwall, but it was somewhere like Iceland or something like that. Because there's a volcanic thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you don't get many volcanoes in Cornwall. God's sake, Brennan.
Depends on which Indian restaurant you eat at.
Gross. And Polly goes investigating and goes in a cave, and shenanigans happen.
Well done.
The end.
Was this the one who was written by somebody who clearly sort of didn't really get the gist of it? Is this the one where Polly was acting out of character pretty much for the whole thing? She was just being a damsel and shrieking a lot.
No, it wasn't this one. It was the Sideman one, wasn't it?
No, it's this one, I think.
Oh,
anyway. No, in the Sideman one, she was on it. 'Cause she was the one who was like, they're the Cybermen. Like, I know what I saw, and she was trying to prove it.
There
was a mad
scientist.
Didn't quite get it.
I liked the mad scientist guy.
Was it Zarkov? Zaroff. Professor Zaroff. Nothing in the world can stop me now! Can you remember where they were?
I enjoyed that.
Because this is half animated and half recovered footage on the DVD release. Where were they under the sea?
Deep under the sea.
You don't remember?
Atlantis.
Yay!
No, it wasn't just bang time. I remember.
So Atlantis. And what was the story? What was happening? Because they get there and the Doctor's like, wait, Professor Zaroff who disappeared 20 years ago based on this date. Because I think it's set in the...
time.
It's set in the 70s or the 80s, something like that. And Zaroff...
70s.
Yeah.
Because Polly recognises...
You recognise an Olympic thing, isn't it? Like like from something that's left on the capsule that takes them down.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's the Doctor recognised this as a scientist who went missing after the Second World War, and like theories were going around that this side captured him, this side had captured him, he was killed by this side, it was just something. And really, he was in Atlantis because he had studies he wanted to take out, and he had beliefs about it, and he went down and he found it. And Atlantis, oh my god, the mythical lost city. It's just a bunch of corridors, medical people, and grumpy tribesmen.
Fish.
What a really disappointing depiction of Atlantis.
Yeah, I don't think they had very much. I've forgotten what I was going to say in my sentence.
The scope to play.
I don't think they had very
put it this way.
wide imagination.
Episode 2 of The Rescue. I still think
put all the budget in the fishmen.
I still think the best set we've seen in the show so far is that temple from the end of The Rescue, where the Doctor confronts Kirkillian, and it turns out to be the guy in the mask and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that entire temple like structure is in it for 5 minutes at the end of the second of the 2 episodes, and it's so impressive.
It is.
And then we've got Atlantis. It's just a lab and another lab.
Oh, there was a
and
market.
Some stones. Oh, and a big face.
There was a market.
A big face. You said it's the Chamber of Secrets, and I went, oh yeah. For some reason, I remembered the big face of the Chamber of Secrets being a basilisk face, and the basilisk coming out of the mouth. For some reason, I went, oh, so it's a big human face. There's a big human gonna climb out. You looked at me and went, what? I was like,
you're just chortling.
What have I said wrong? And I sort of realised, I was like, oh yeah, it's a man's face and a snake comes out of it, isn't it? Okay, never mind.
Oh.
Never mind. Oh,
we watch these episodes very late in the evening.
We do.
Oh. But
we do it instead of eating.
There was a marketplace. That was a room.
Because it was a mixture of no, that was an interesting scene because it was a mixture of Atlantean stuff, but also like bits and pieces that they've salvaged over the years from above the world, and they were selling them. So like there were people dressed in loincloths, or like the sort of the
nets,
the net kind of thing, that sort of stuff.
God, that's Oh, his neck.
But then there were people dressed in like sunglasses with robes and shirts, but with like tribal.
Yeah, but they were the cool dudes.
Well, the Doctor's disguise is great. It's like in a cloak with like a hat and some shades. It's like first Doctor to wear sunglasses properly. Don't Stephen Moffat Moffat changes that later.
I don't want to know.
Of course he does.
He ruins everything.
I'm shaking my fist. But yeah, so Zarof's down there because he's like, oh, I'm doing studies, and he gets down there and finds that they're based on the whole idea of sacrifice and appeasing sort of the will of the universe and all this stuff, and because the city's been down there for thousands of years, and they want to return to the surface. They know there's a surface world, and they want to return there because every now and again people from the surface world arrive in Atlantis, and they are sacrificed. And yeah, all that stuff. Or some of them are kept and turned into these things. That was the thing that I thought was disappointing. They don't go any further with that.
No, you don't see.
They don't go any further. There's an implication it's going to happen to Polly, and then they move on.
She puts on a hat and she's fine.
Yeah.
A small child rescues her. What happened there? I don't recall what happened.
Small child?
Yeah, well, no.
Oh, the young lady who's really tiny.
Sorry, yeah.
Who was really like chuffed on the behind the scenes featurette. She was like, "Oh yeah, I've got some great stories for this. This is fantastic." And I was like, "Oh good, I'm glad you enjoyed it." We always read when we open a Doctor Who DVD for the first time. We always read the little synopsis blurb on the booklet, like this one, and this one talks a lot about how the story is not fondly remembered. I kind of get why. There's a lot of missed opportunity in this. Like a lot.
It said...
Jamie's mostly... Like, Jamie and Ben just get designated to, you're going to work in a mine.
Yeah.
Which happens in a later story, which we didn't see. Like, oh, people work in mines now.
There's a lot of mines.
We've seen that before, like Dalek Invasion of Earth and stuff. It's just like, you're going to work in a mine. Alright, okay.
That synopsis said that it was like one of the wackiest episodes.
Oh,
and it was much less wacky than I was hoping.
I mean, it sounds dramatic as hell. The TARDIS lands in the lost city of Atlantis, where the crazed Professor Zaroff has convinced the Atlanteans that he can raise their city from beneath the sea. But the Doctor discovers the terrible truth behind Zaroff's plan. He intends to destroy the entire planet. With the doomsday clock ticking, the Doctor and his companions must battle to prevent the apocalypse. That sounds amazing. Right. Some really stupid bits in it.
It was stupid.
I like the idea. I like the idea of the scientist just being insane, because basically he's like, "Oh yeah, what we're gonna do to bring Atlantis above the surface world is we're gonna drop the water level around this coast. We're gonna completely drop the water level by thousands and thousands of feet, so Atlantis is part of the land, and the rest of the surface world cannot ignore you because you are back and you are powerful." But really, what he's going to do is unload like the magma, the core, go through this core and unleash the white hot magma, and everything's going to, like the sea and magma, everything's going to concoct, and the planet will either break apart or explode.
He cray.
And he wants to do that just because he wants to be like, I did that with science. I am the most superior mind on this planet. It's like, you're cray.
That doesn't seem like powerful enough. That doesn't seem like a good motivation. I don't think they thought this through. I think they...
Well, they do make a thing of saying, like, he's gone insane.
Yeah, I
so
understand that, but...
It's, you know...
It's quite a mediocre...
A character later on in the show will do a much better thing of a scientist deciding what it means to be powerful. You're doing this on video.
I'm wearing black so you can't see a thing.
Demonetised.
I'm wearing pyjamas.
Was the Underwater Menace.
Yeah, what a
weird bit of something. Which I think, let me just double check. Does that lead directly into the next story?
Well, Polly's wearing seashells.
Yes, she is. Yes, so I think it might do. Yeah, it leads directly into the final one we got to watch in full, which is the Moonbase. The Cybermen proved so popular that they brought them back like 3 stories later, completely redesigned into these chaps. Resistant to being knocked off tables.
Yep.
Pretty powerful. In 2070, Earth's weather is controlled with ease from the moon. When the TARDIS arrives at the Moonbase, the Doctor, along with his friends Polly, Ben and Jamie, is accused of starting a plague that is killing off the base's crew. It's not long, however, before the time travellers discover the true cause of the deaths. A powerful, unstoppable race the Doctor has met before. So it's the return of the Cybermen. the virus looked really cool. Like the lines on everyone's veins, and then that one animated shot of the guy's hand, and you saw the black shape crawl up his veins. That was really cool. Really creepy. Again, an incomplete story. So 2 of the episodes were animated to fill in. Oh, you should probably explain that with the Underwater Menace. 2 of them were just stills with the soundtrack, which is fine because you were crocheting and I was playing Contest of Champions, so we just look up occasionally to see what the setting was
when the picture changed,
and then listen to the story. But the Moonbase was animated. Again, I think the animation was a lot better in this one. I liked
the animation of this one. This was much better.
I like the fact that Cybermen have a definitive theme. And it's got that sound in the background. No, because we'll get copyright struck probably.
Oh, okay.
We won't. Oh, Wheaton. So according to the science of this story, roughly 50 years from now, we'll control the Earth's weather cycles to help with its crops and everything. From the moon, there'll be a moon base.
Jesus.
No, he's not working up there.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
No.
I don't know what you
He's got in 2070 he's got a Twitch channel.
Oh.
Yeah. And a vlog. Daily vlogs. Can't hold the camera though. Keeps falling through his... Anyway, so...
That even makes sense.
Yeah, it did. Stigmata.
How tiny is the camera?
In 2070, they're quite small.
Oh.
Yeah. What happened in this? What's Jamie doing?
Jamie's out cold.
Yeah. Fraser Hines gets to lie down for a couple of weeks.
He lies down in his kilt and
as he said in the behind the scenes, like, I got paid to lie down.
And be insane.
And occasionally say, the paper! It's the paper!
Something I don't understand about Jamie. Again, I feel a bit disconnected because I didn't see him introduced.
You have to sort of remind yourself that he's from a historical.
Yeah. Which is an interesting take because I like that he doesn't understand what everything is.
Yeah. Flying Beastie when they arrive at Gatwick Airport.
Why didn't they get an actual Scotsman?
Are you mocking Fraser Hines?
I said nothing.
Splendid Scottish brogue.
Oh, it's not. It's not.
It gets better. He's very. The accent choices are very unusual. But then again, as an actor, usually unless you develop an accent for use, you learn your dialogue and that story where you need to play a character with an accent as is.
Yeah.
Well, he did that for the Highlanders, and then he was rewritten to be continuing for a year's contract after that. So he suddenly had to say more things in that accent that he hadn't worked on. So it gets better. It does get a lot better, but I like his performances a lot. Especially in this, where he gets to just lie down and do sod all, and occasionally go, the paper! That was a cool idea. The idea that like the sort of the folklore from his time is that like warrior is felled on the battlefield, like they'll see a ghostly piper who comes to guide them to the next life.
Guide him, take him. Yours was nicer.
Yeah, and you know
it's gonna take you.
And if you're gonna see a spectral vision, what is scarier than a silver man?
They are very scary in this.
What do you think of the redesign?
Creepy.
Pretty cool, right?
Very creepy.
Very cool.
Very
Look
cool.
at that with the
claw
boots.
hands.
Yeah, these boots. Actually, this toy is based on Tomb of the Cybermen and the Wailing Spice.
It's not got laces.
Yeah, well, and the pants aren't all the way down with the laces. They're boots.
I suppose this is more practical. But
but I mean, that looks good. This is a Tomb of the Cybermen, but it's the same.
It's really creepy.
Same design.
It's got a very haunting face.
Yeah, and the mouth.
Yeah,
just the shutter that goes. I can't do an impression of these ones. I've tried. You sound like this.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
What's the noise they make at the end of every word? It's sort of like a sound, isn't it? They will not take you Costa Coffee.
Costa Coffee. I don't want to go to Costa Coffee.
No way you want a latte. Exodia on the Latin pay.
You just sound like you don't know your coffee.
Where am I?
It's disgusting. It's bitter.
I'm
Definitely not sponsored by Costa.
No.
because it's disgusting.
Hey, the muffins are nice. So, Moonbase is pretty good.
Yeah, something that I liked was the men on the moon weren't just all very British men that spoke like this. They were from different countries, which was great. I mean, accents, oh god. But, you gotta forgive them.
Yeah.
But
the fact that they stuck to the 90s American horror movie mould and the African American character was the first... Ooh, something just fell over.
Harley Quinn just fell over.
The African American character was the first to be killed. He wasn't killed in the end. He was diseased and controlled. Yeah. The Cybermen get their own version of the Robo-Men in this story.
Yeah.
Which is pretty creepy.
They were... It's... The doctor and everybody arrived when people started getting sick, didn't they? And it was something that was tainted and they couldn't figure out what it was, and it ended up being the
sugar.
I was going to say, am I allowed to say? But you just went,
sugar! The sugar.
It was the sugar.
And that's also how they've been getting access to the base. That was creepy when they had the transmission at the beginning, and as they finished their communication with Earth, one of the radio guys turns to the door and he's like, someone's listening into that. Can you hear the static? There's someone's listening into the thing, and you think, well, that's spooky, because you obviously you see the DVD cover, you know it's the Cybermen, so you think, oh my god, so like there's a force listening into their conversations. That's spooky. Yeah, not just that, the force is listening into their conversation because it's intercepting it, because you have that creepy shot in Ep 1 where this hand is just turning the dial when the ground controller responding, and you realise they're the ones doing it. Like, they've tapped in and they're replying to keep them on the base. So that's pretty creepy. And they're hidden behind the sugar.
Yeah.
Are they?
They are.
How do you know?
Because the crowd went,
whoa!
Oh, they're hidden behind the sugar.
Yeah, well, because of that great shot where they just push it all over and then begin to pile it back up. And it's a literal, like, giant hole in the wall.
I mean, we thought it was cocaine, but it was not.
Maybe, that's why they sound like this at the end of every word.
No, they were very creepy.
They were.
And when you think that it's just maybe 2, and then later in the story there's like a whole...
I think 11
like
costumes.
A whole army of them, and it's like, oh god.
I think it's 11 costumes, because I remember the behind the scenes we were talking about, like, they did a photo shoot on day 1, and they like went out around the front of TV Centre and the area around the studio. Not TV Centre, it was Ealing Studios, because they took some photos on the green outside Ealing Studios where we used to walk past on the way to the tube station.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really weird because there's like a photo of them all on the line, and one of them's like this as the bus is going past.
I didn't see, that was behind me, I didn't see what it was. Oh, that. oh, I see.
They're doing this.
Oh, I see. Stop, lost. I want to get on.
Is that your impression of a Cyberman?
Yeah. Your finger tastes weird. Where's it been?
Why are you tasting my finger?
Because it's on my mouth.
Where's it been? I shan't tell you.
Ooh, I'm the Cyberman. Ooh, I want to get on this bus. Stop us. Oh.
I like the Moonbase a lot. I thought it was a really cool story.
I liked it too.
It was a really nice return for the Cybermen, and there's that bit at the end where it sort of suggests that they're not quite done. Like, they see the ship leave.
Yeah.
And it's like, there they go.
And it's eerie that there's...
I like their moon suits as well. I like the space suits
that.
for the team.
I like the set, and I like the costumes. Thought the costumes were very good.
And it's cool because it's the first time, really, we get to see how this Doctor deals with an enemy that's already been around. Because obviously we got that in Power of the Daleks, but he's a bit crazed and wacky and is off kilter. And this one, he's like, I know what they are. I'm going to figure out their plan and we'll stop them. Polly's great in this. She's the one who calls it out and keeps like watch over the whole thing.
She's beautiful, though, isn't she?
You're a fan of Miss Wilkes.
Yeah, she's very good. Very pretty.
Annick Wills.
Very pretty.
Annick Wills.
But
who else is pretty?
Paddy Troughton.
Paddy T.
Really good. I am liking him very much.
Then we get the Macra Terror, or as you call it, because I said, you remember what the Macra are, right? And you went, are they the little crabby things?
I didn't say little.
From the one with you said, are they the little crabby things from the one with the cats?
Kittens.
Well, that's what I was thinking when you said cats, because I was like, does she mean cat people? Like, because one of them's in that story. Is that how you're talking about the basket of kittens, aren't you?
Yay!
Yeah. Yes, the Macra Terror.
Kittens.
A story which involves a sort of slightly weird peoples who are all forcibly happy and joyous and productive all the time, and those who aren't are sort of hypnotized to be so, and they're forced to work in these mines and in this environment that is killing off the workers over time because of the substances that are around, but for some reason they mine it, even though the Doctor and co can't find any evidence of why they'd be doing it. And over the course of the story, you find out that living beneath them all are these giant psychic crab beasts that need this stuff to survive and are looking for the opportunity to move back up to the surface and take dominion. And it's all creepy and weird, and Ben gets corrupted and eventually comes around and helps save the day. And it sounded like a really, really cool story. Mostly because of the Bioshock-esque nature. We were saying Bioshock Infinite, the whole like forced happy society kind of thing, and the creepy people running it from screens who turn out to actually be like much older, and it's all part of the illusion, and like a really cool idea, like proper creepy.
Excuse me.
Did you get to see it?
Nope.
No footage of it exists. So
we just read it.
Yeah.
And imagined it with our brains.
Following that was another imagining of the brain holes, because after the Macra Terror it was the Faceless Ones. But we did watch episode 1 of the Faceless Ones. Episode 1 and a very damaged episode 3 appear on the Lost in Time set.
Whoa!
And what do you think of the Faceless Ones? They arrive in Gatwick Airport. Polly witnesses a murder in Chameleon Tour's hangar.
There's been a murder.
And they're all in trouble because they've all essentially trespassed on Gatwick Airport's runway with no logical explanation as to how they got there as far as the 1966 employees are concerned. And she witnesses someone being shot, and then she gets captured, and it looks like they're nursing some form of creature. And then the Doctor and Jamie meet Polly again to be like, tell them what you've seen, and she doesn't recognise them. She's going by a different name.
Yeah. It's
a story of chameleons. It's a story of these creatures who we read into it. They lose their planet, and they have 50,000 strong of their number, and to survive, they need to reintegrate into someone else's place. So the plan is to kidnap humans who go on travels, because there's a really sinister bit where this girl called Samantha's like, yeah, I was meant to meet my brother or whatever, and he sent me these postcards, but no one who was there on the trip who came back said he went with them. Like, he went with them, they lost him, and then he never came back. So why is he who sent me these postcards?
Creepy. And
you realise, then they find a room filled with all this stuff that they've been sending back to try and cover their tracks. Because what they're doing is they're kidnapping people, putting them through like the tests and stuff, then storing them. A lot of them, like, shrunken in units inside a plane that they're permanently keeping away from the airport proper. It lands like to refuel and then flies away. And they're imposters, Invasion of the Body Snatchers style, just going out there and living their lives. That's a creepy idea, isn't it?
It is very creepy. Would have been nice to have seen it.
Yeah, well, we saw episode 1, and the chameleon creature looked pretty damn creepy the way it was shot in episode 1. Crusty, the Faceless Ones. The intrigues play quite nicely. What's nice about this Doctor is because he's a little more bumbling, when he gets confronted, he just sort of shout at people. He's like, no, you listen here. But he's not got that sort of like I'm a mean bastard authority that Hartnell's got.
Yeah, grumpy old man.
First Doctor sort of has that whole, no, listen here, young man. You're like, oh shit, all right, we will do. Whereas Troughton's sort of like, all right, come on, you weirdo. Oh, look at him shouting, isn't he adorable? Like, he's definitely got authority, but not to dickheads. Like, dickheads are in charge more. Yeah. Don't take him seriously.
Yeah.
His and Jamie's chemistry, you get to see more time with just the two of them in this, and they're very good. And the damn shame about this story is we don't get to see the end, because at the very end, Ben and Polly realise that it's the 20th of July 1966, the day they left with the first Doctor in London. And this might be their only chance to go home, so they leave the TARDIS. And it's like, oh, that's sad, because what do you think of Ben and Polly?
I love Ben and Polly.
We didn't get to spend as much time with them as we'd like because of the breaks in stories. But there's a really nice energy to them, isn't there?
Yeah, really, really, really good. I love the fact. I don't think I can think of anything negative to say about them. Except that one where Polly was a bit more damsel in distressy, but...
Underwater Menace, yeah.
Yeah, but apart from that...
Yeah.
I think they're great.
Goodbye.
Because Ben is somebody that he questions everything. He's like, what is this? Why?
What's going on?
I think that's
all right, Duchess, calm down.
He's very cockney. And it's
so
enjoyable.
Goodbye from the show to
sad.
Michael Craze and Annette Wills. Goodbye, guys.
Bye. I've got no spatial awareness.
And then the TARDIS gets nicked, and Jamie and the Doctor follow it, and then we skip into the final story of the series, The Evil of the Daleks. So 2 beasties get a return story this series, in as many weeks. Reason for that was Terry Nation was shopping the Daleks to American television, so that Beeb were coming to the end of their arrangement with him, and they were like, right, well, this will be their last story then. Like, the last story of this season, Terry, like, it'll be a Dalek story, and then we're done. And he's like, great. And that's why I think they doubled down on the Cybermen, because they're like, great, we found something that can match. Because you can see them trying to do that with, like, like the mechanoids and the war machines, and to a less evil extent, the Chumblies and things like that. They're trying to find something, visual robot thing that people go, oh, they're cool too, so that they don't need the Daleks anymore.
What would
and then the Cybermen happens, and people go, they're awesome, and then they redesign them, and people go, they're awesome. And as you'll see from next series, we ain't done with the Cybermen yet.
No. What could Terry Nation have done with the Daleks if it was something else?
Well, he already had the movies.
Yeah, but like
you could just sell them as a different property.
Did he want to do it as like something out of Doctor Who?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been like a Who-universe.
But that doesn't make any sense because people would associate them with Doctor Who.
Not necessarily.
But you would.
A lot of people are aware of Mr. Blobby. They don't remember Noel's house party.
What?
Mr. Blobby wasn't just part of Noel's house party. He was many other things.
What was he part of?
A lot of people are aware of Basil.
Nightmares. That's what he was part of.
A lot of people are aware of Basil Brush, but they couldn't name every Mr. and Mrs. that he worked with, or what the context of the show was. The Daleks could have been fitted into their own thing. Just it probably, knowing Terry Nation, it probably would have been a space colony or tribe. There would have been a radioactive jungle. There would have been prolonged scenes of the Daleks having conversations, and lots of scenes of people going, now, what are we going to do? The Daleks will be here any minute, shouting about stuff.
Ding dong. It's the Daleks.
We brought Flan. Flan does not go with coffee. I told you this was a bad idea.
Mr. Blobby would have been a good Doctor Who villain. Because it's nightmare-inducing.
You need to listen to some Aimless Wandering.
I loved...
You really need to listen to some Aimless Wandering.
I loved Mr. Blobby as a kid. To the point where I had a birthday cake of Mr. Blobby. And do you know what? I remember it was
I had a Mr. Blobby birthday cake one year.
Oh.
Yeah.
You creep.
Explains a lot, doesn't it, really?
Oh, we were 2 peas in
the same
a
creepy
garden. Pod. Oh. Mine was a bit more broad. Broad bean.
You can bring the sad gizmo into frame to illustrate how I'm feeling now.
What were we talking about? The Daleks, yeah.
The Daleks. But this is a cool story idea.
Oh,
so they've lured the Doctor on purpose because they need him to fulfill an experiment. So
him and Jamie.
Well, Jamie, I think is
the test subject.
Like they would have just had any. They probably would have used Victoria, but
her dress was very large.
Well, she was a well-off Victorian lady, daughter of a laird. So yeah, the plot is Doctor and Jamie follow the people who are taking the TARDIS to find out that it's been taken by an antique shop, which when they explore it, everything is suspiciously new. Not artifice, not replicas of the stuff inside, but new. They discover a time machine in the back room. The gentleman who's running the place, who said he was going to talk to them, has lured them there on purpose. They're gassed and taken back to 1866, where they meet... what was his name? He had a great name.
We missed the first episode, though, didn't we?
Yeah, well, there's only episode 2. You can only watch episode 2. Yeah. They meet... because it's Edward Waterfield is the one who owns the shop. And then they meet his partner, which is Theodore Maxtable. And his daughter, Ruth Maxtable, appears. And you learn that Waterfield's daughter, Victoria, was taken hostage by these creatures that emerged after they tried an experiment to create... essentially a time machine. They wanted to create something that could link to a shift in time. Like they discussed the idea of like a reflection. Imagine if you were to walk toward it and it were several seconds behind. Like that's a difference in time, and we tried to create that. So they experiment with all kinds of things. They have a room. I thought it was a great visual idea. They have a cabinet that's full, like a big walk-in cabinet that's full of like 140 mirrors, something like that, all steel, all pointed toward one another, all so that the light can refract off as part of the experiments. And when they experiment with their third substance, which is static, something gets through.
Static.
And that's so well done. When the Doctor starts to piece together what's happening, and you can tell he wants to, because he says like, and these creatures, what were they called? You can tell he wants them to say anything else. Any other word, but it's one that's like, oh, they were asking for me, were they? And it's like, oh no. And it's the first time you really feel like he's frightened of them. He's frightened of them and what they can do. And that's Troughton plays that so well. But basically what goes on in the story after that is the Daleks are looking to separate the DNA, like whatever it is in humans' genetic code, that makes them brave enough and resilient enough to defeat the Daleks. Because every time the Daleks have been defeated so far, they've been defeated by humans. Like, humans have been involved in some way. Humans have risen up to fight back and stop Robomen conversion, and humans have been involved in thwarting their schemes when they've gone here and there. So they're like, right, we want to know what the human factor is, because we want you to condense it into a genetic formula, and then we want it put into the Daleks, so that they will always think that way or be one step ahead. And it's like, oh, that's terrifying. And later on in the story, it involves going back to Skaro, the first visit back to Skaro, the home planet of the Daleks. And we meet in this story, and it sucks that we can't see this, we meet for the first time the Emperor of the Daleks. And in this one, it's a big bloody, like, it's like triangular sort of pillar in the back of the room, wired in with all these cables and tubes. And the Emperor's basically like, right, here's how this is going to work. Once they do that, and they inject it into the human factor, into the Daleks, and there in the house in the 1800s, and they start to behave like children, because they basically get like a sample of human DNA, and they sort of become like childlike and imaginative and curious. And then when those examples are brought up to Skaro, the Emperor's like, yeah, that's disgusting.
What the hell is that?
Get rid of them. Now, because you've got the human factor deciphered, you're going to figure out everything that makes Daleks what they are. You're going to replicate that. We're going to put it back into those three so that we can change them back to how they're meant to be. And then we're going to inject it into every Dalek ever. And basically just like double the rage and the tenacity and the violence. And
That's
it's like,
so technical and scientific.
But it's a great idea. Like a really cool idea for a story. And the Doctor's forced to do it because Jamie's the leverage. And Victoria's the leverage for the Victorian gentlemen, so they have to go along with everything. But what happens is the Daleks end up getting injected in the end with all the human stuff, and they rebel against the Emperor, and they fight back, and that's when the characters escape. Victoria's father dies in the story.
Oh no.
And Victoria, now orphaned, goes with the Doctor and Jamie. So we have two companions from historical time periods with the Doctor. But Jamie's obviously a lot more knowledgeable now, so he kind of clues her in. This leads into some of the stories I've already seen, which are some of my faves, because I really like this TARDIS team. I like them quite a lot. So, I can't go for you all after people to see what we think of their stories, but what do you think of the planet of? What do you think of, I'm thinking of Skaro, what do you think of what you saw of the evil of the Daleks? Aside from the creepy maid that tries to take a peek up Jamie's kilt when he's sleeping.
Ooh, cheeky.
Could I interest you in some dumplings? Meat and veg, sir. Oh, I see you've already got some, sir.
It's not what she sounded like. She was much younger than what you're implying.
Well, when she first entered the room, she sort of crouched down, and we thought it was going to be a young actress attempting a young actress attempting an old woman voice. It's like, oh, I like Julie Walters and Victoria Wood. Oh, Jesus. Just like with the suit. Just walking around like that. It's Victoria Wood show, I think. I can't remember. It's the one... Because you're talking about the soap parody, Acorn Antiques.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she plays a character like that now, but there's a sketch in Victoria Wood show where she's this waitress who brings out soup, and she's just shaking.
Oh, I've seen the clips of that.
So funny. Oh, my God.
Anyway, from what I saw, it was really good.
That's what the Julie Walters main character said in this when she took a peek under Jamie's kilt.
I saw it was really good.
From what I saw, sir, it was really good.
Ew, stop that.
We don't feed us well here, sir.
Oh, please.
She's a cannibal. Twist.
It's never talked about ever. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Isn't quite the right word.
You're intrigued.
Yeah, and saddened.
Series 4's been.
This has been very mishmashy.
It's been. I don't think necessarily it's the quality of the stories. It's more the experience.
No, it's not.
Because of what's available now.
Definitely is.
I think you won't get past this feeling till we start John's era and suddenly everything exists. And I think you're looking forward to that. I think you're looking forward to some John Pertwee.
Very much so.
But you liked Pat a lot. From what you saw of Pat prior to our marathon, he was sort of the Doctor you said, like, I'd like to see more of him.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some bad news.
Oh.
A lot of the stories do, unfortunately, carry on broken and mishmash and missing and whatnot. But we've only got a couple of Pats to watch that are in full.
That's such a shame.
Just a couple.
What am I gonna do?
Just a couple.
So what am I gonna do? Which one is it?
What?
The one that's got full ones.
These are the.
I know it was. Never mind.
When I say run like a rabbit into 2019, because that's when we'll get back together properly to carry on our marathon. So if all goes according to plan, this episode should be out toward the end of December. Have a lovely end of year, guys. We'll see you probably mid-February with the next episode. Starting off with, technically this is cheating, you've already done this revision, the first story of Series 5.
Yay!
Two of the Cybermen.
There's a very funny moment in it that I can't wait to revisit.
Is it, for some reason, I have a feeling it involves this?
Yes, it does. It's quite amusing.
Thanks for watching, team!
I do apologise for this wish-washy episode. Some of us are very, very tired, very sleepy. And yes, have a nice time. Goodbye!